Afro Hair Science YouTube channel. Oh, what are you waiting for? Oh, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Good people, how you guys doing out there? Y'all know who it is, right? It's me, your homegirl, Ladosha, right? AKA Key Lolo. That's right, coming to you live and direct from the Reverend Society Hair Salon. And you know who I'm rocking with, right? There she is right there, the one and only Cheryl Morrow, aka the hair oracle. We getting better at that, Cheryl. We getting much, 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 much better. And boy, are we yes, we're getting so good at this. We're just like, we're the bomb.com. That's what's happening here. So we are 20 episodes in to our student edition of So You Think You Can Do Hair. And this particular podcast is part 2. And so the first one, we did a countdown, right, of the top 10 ways that barbershop and salon owners can help newly licensed barbers and cosmetology professionals in the field of hair. And so we got through 5 of them. So what I'm going to do is show a clip. I think I got it in here of the top 5 that we went over last week. And so then we're going to continue. And so are you excited to keep this going?
Let's get it. Let's
get it. All right. So here's our bootleg commercial of the top 5. This was last episode, guys. Last episode. I'm sure Sir Pooh was like, yeah, y'all can count me in. Like the way I said that in, Sir Pooh. All right. So Cheryl, we are up to a good 4. So we got dominate, speaking, selling tools. So what's your next? I'm sorry, having good tools. So which one do you have up next?
Number 5 is your chair is not a barrier.
That was pretty good. Join us this afternoon for part 2 as we conclude the top 5 ways of how we can better service and help new licensed cosmetologists and barbers enter the industry. See y'all in the chat. Deuces. Woo! I had to get some of that hype music in there. You know, we got to get hype with the education. What's going on, Yaki Snacky? I like that name. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, are we so excited to help the new cosmetologists, the new barbers. You know, it's more things that we could do to help out. So we got a couple of shout outs right there on Instagram. We got Ib, Ahmad. What's up, Ibby Ib? We got The Real Heaven. Ooh, I'm telling you, sure, these handles get better and better. And then, of course, right? we have Yaki Snacky. I'm just Key Lolo. And then, sure, you're the hair oracle. We might have to get a little bit more jazzier with our handles. So,
all right.
Yeah. So anyhow, before we get into the topic, by the way, how was your weekend? How's everything going with, Kamala? Kamala is kicking booty. She kicking the door, waving the score.
Yeah, she handling it. Everybody's like waiting for her vice president pick.
Right. So what do you think about this big whole thing about she ain't black?
Look, I know Morrow is not my full black African name.
You don't think so? No. Theo, is that your slave name or is that your African name? Yaki Snack. Everybody. What?
Well, you know what is an interesting clip we actually missed is when they invited the Prime Minister of India. And the Prime Minister of India had quite of a bromance with Barack Obama. And they almost look like relatives. And most Indians do look very Afrocentric. Oh. And the key here is we have an opportunity that most people of color, most of us, we do look alike in some way. And when we say black, black means direct ascendants of slaves. And no, that is not her heritage. But slavery was more than in the United States. It was in Jamaica.
No, you're kidding. Are you sure they had enslaved Africans on the island of Jamaica?
Yeah, that's why they look the way they look. And so,
Uh,
so to say that she is, when we say Black American, we mean a direct descendants of slaves. And no, that is not her um, national identity. However, the problem is that you can tell who is Black when she stands in a room against other racial people. But anyway, but I digress. But this prime minister came to the United States and he spoke to Congress. And he was happy to say that Indians across the globe are everywhere. And then he pointed and he says, we have one behind us. And he was pointing to Kamala Harris. And she has, I mean, how dare we as Black people of the world deny who her mother was? I mean, it's just so ridiculous.
and it's just so. The other thing that I want to say, they say, "Oh well, Jamaicans ain't black." I have two names for that. When they say, "Well, Jamaicans don't consider her black," I'm gonna put it like this: Marcus
Guard.
Garvey. Get
And,
more black than
and
Marcus, the father of Blickety Blickety.
but let's go here.
Come on, go. I'm sorry, y'all. We gotta go there, y'all.
Right. But let's go here. Neither do Kenyans. And Barack Obama was Kenyan. His father was Kenyan. Neither do Kenyans. What we are talking about in terms of Black, it is a socio-political identity, direct ascendants of slaves in North America. That it has nothing to do with the racial identity and racial affinity and the racial relation and the relation of the community you relate most to. She has identified and related to Black culture in America.
And they know we're gonna move on. But let me just say this, okay, guys. Now y'all know Kilolo, I'm from the hood, okay? Now I'm talking about my hood. I ain't talking about your hood. I'm talking about my hood, okay? Now you know, right? If Kamala was with her mom, an Indian mom, and she was brought up, I'm gonna say down the way. I ain't gonna even pick no, I'm just gonna say down the way. Right?
They didn't grow up in the
No,
suburbs.
no, yeah, okay. She grew up down the way, all right, and she had an Indian mom, all right. You know, Black people would have been like, "You ain't Indian, you Black." We had, this is a true story. We had some, I believe they were Puerto Ricans, right? The Varolas. You had Conrad, you had Christina. I forgot her sister. Anybody in Cleveland that grew up down the way over on Colfax, okay? I think they were, no. They were Indians, I believe. I don't know. They were either Indians or they were Puerto Ricans. I'm not quite sure. But they gonna check me in the chat. But Christina and I used to play together all the time. So it was Christina. She had her brother Conrad. I can't think of her sister's name, but she had another brother, and his name was Poachy. Now, I'm not gonna say that Black people own the nickname Poochie. It could have been whatever their ethnicity was, their nickname too. But I'm telling you, at the end of the day, that ethnic family, they were Black. And so I don't know if they went on to marry Black people. I don't even know what ever happened to them, but they look good. They look like the silver. They had the big afros. But anywho, I'm just telling you that if you're not in the culture of Black America and how we ingratiate people into Blackness, and it's not giving people a pass. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these people
It's
were
right. Yeah, it's sharing a
are
struggle.
Okay.
And when you can share a struggle, your ethos becomes very similar to each other.
Okay. I can
That
accept that.
see, and that is what you see in all cultures of the world because they don't know where you're from. They just know that you are yellow, red, brown, and black. They don't know because I would have in New York, I would go to an Indian restaurant because that's one of my favorite foods, right? And we
Mine's too.
and we would talk about black issues and we would talk about American issues. And one of the funny thing is that they would always ask, "What is wrong with white Americans? What is going on with their brain?" And we could come together and understand the struggle is a person of color struggle. It's a
Right.
color struggle,
Yeah.
and they don't. They know they have different Indian cultures and
Right.
versus soul food. We have a different cuisine,
Mm.
but when it comes down to that stupidity,
Mm-hmm. I don't
eh,
know what's wrong. Because Indians, they black too, because they take that little nine and they wipe it up just like we do our cornbread. I'm just saying. Y'all better quit acting like. Anywho, we have some honorary black people. Tina Marie. Tina Marie couldn't be white no more. But anywho,
she that was not. I'm sorry, that was not a white woman.
yeah, yeah. So we had a couple of people that just couldn't. Rachel Dolezal, you know what I'm saying? So anywho, I'm gonna carry on. I'm gonna carry up. What we can do is we can talk about what more we can do. So
Yeah,
everybody's talking about what Kamala Harris is or isn't, but it's only through education that we're going to be able to help empower people to have a better understanding. Even though you may have an opinion about whether someone is or isn't, but when you have the right and correct information, then it will empower your choice to say or do whatever. Like we're going to talk about today of how we can do more as salon owners and barbershop owners to help the newly licensed professionals. So in our last topic, we talked about self mastery, about dominating your lane and stop competing. Okay, because that's a big thing in the beauty industry. Competition keeps checking. All right. I talked about speaking. You talked about transferring skill sets. Retail sales is something that we definitely need to help the cosmetologists and barbers who are new into the industry. We've got to help you guys understand more about the power of selling your retail and what it does for you as a professional and the longevity and the quality of your career. And then you conclude it with working beyond the chair. And so that one might be a big task when you're new, but Cheryl says it really is important. So as we go into our last 5 ways of how we can help licensed professionals, do you have a number 6 or can I go first? Do you mind if I go first with number 6?
absolutely. Shoot.
All right, okay. So we have the top 5 ways. All right, so we're going to continue. We have 10 ways that we know, excuse me, that we can do better to help you guys become very successful in the field of barbering and cosmetology because this particular podcast was created just for you. It was actually also the brainchild of an actual intern who felt like we could do better by addressing you guys' issues. So this is actually an example of how we can help you better. Okay, so I'm going to say in the number 6. I think one of the things that we could do as salon owners, I'm going to say this ever so gingerly, is help them move from over the counter tools and products to professional products. And I think that, and I know what you guys are saying, it doesn't really matter. Mousse is mousse is mousse. Gel is gel is gel. Shears are shears are shears. A blow dryer is a blow dryer is a blow dryer. And that is not true. So, Cheryl, help me out in explaining to them why over the counter just won't, it'll get you going, but in the longevity, why do you feel or think that professional tools and products matter to someone who is new in the industry?
I think most hairstylists, especially maybe their first year into practice, second, third, fourth, fifth year, but I think that they start getting, especially when they start going to hair shows, they have not fostered a relationship with manufacturers, or they have not fostered a relationship with reps, right? And so they don't understand that on the commercial level, that the most products they'll run into, and let's say like in a salon centric or a Cosmopro, that's why they divide consumer products versus professional base. It is because the manufacturer themselves are creating things for a mass demographic, and then they're also creating things for a professional demographic. For a case in point, let me make my point. Let's say a blow dryer, right? There are commercial blow dryers, and then there's professional blow dryers. The professional blow dryers could be hotter, right? They have different temperature sets. They work different. They sound different, right? And most commercial, let's say commercial blow dryers will have a wider mouth, right? The real professional ones will have a smaller, right? A smaller snout, nozzle on them, and that is for a more professional application when you want to get the hair straighter, because commercial blow dryers don't get as hot because they don't want you to burn yourself or whatever the case may be. They're designed to have a, and so they're designed to have a different application use, more expert use. So that goes for wet goods and creamwear as well, shampoos, or like there could be some commercial brand colors, but then there's professional brand colors because they're expecting you to have a different degree or higher degree of knowledge when you use more expensive hair colors, right? And so, and it's because the student doesn't quite have a relationship with the manufacturer. They don't know that there is a deference or a
I think so. I think some of it is also the expectations on the fiber, on the look, you
Mhm,
know? So, because when you're doing it at home or you're doing it as a novice, you could really feel like you just slayed a braid style, or you just slayed an updo, or you
mhm,
slayed a haircut, or some tracks and everything, or even hair color.
mhm,
But that's one, it's levels on the appearance of the
mhm,
fiber and what can happen to the hair when the customer is at home. And I think what happens is that when you're using stuff, over the counter, you're gonna look cute as long as you're good for that picture, like, you know, you know what I'm saying?
right.
But when they wake up in the morning, or 2 hours later, that's where the rubber meets the road. And I think that for the newer cosmetologists and barbers, they don't see that connection of that retention that's
Mhm,
going to be able to take place when you use a quality product. I think the retention is the key
mhm,
because they're always hustling. Every day I'm hustling. They're trying to get that customer, but they don't realize if I satisfy the person that's in the chair right now, they will rebook when I'm done and come back and
mhm,
can, yeah.
mhm. And that's why you can't stress enough, which goes into, but that was number five. Number six, the importance of fostering relationships with um, reps or companies. No, don't just go to the hair shows and just be starry eyed and oh wow. Make sure that you really understand that by the time you get to fostering that relationship, you're speaking their language, and then you ask them questions. Ask them what is the difference between this particular formulation, or this tool, or this flat iron, or this clipper, or this comb, or whatever. What makes it different? Talk
But
to
now,
them.
are reps qualified to answer that question? Now, I think that we could do a whole other podcast on these reps because I just had a very horrible, horrible experience with the rep who I felt was not qualified to answer a question like what you're saying. So Theo is saying application is important, which is required from training. So to your seventh tip of how we can help them better is introducing them to reps. Are reps qualified to do what you're talking about, or should the salon owner buy the product and do the teaching? Theo, what do you think? Cheryl, what do you think?
Well, here's the thing. When you take brands to task, the key here is don't just buy products because they look pretty or they smell good. You are a professional now after you graduate, right? And let's just be real too. There's reps that come in beauty school as well. We are to ask questions. Why am I buying this one versus that one? And what makes yours better in
Oh, that
terms.
they get an attitude. I told you that before. Some of these reps, they don't want you answering questions. Maybe we need to do a show on the other podcast and get some reps to come on and talk about what their role is before I trash every single last one of them, except Mr. Dale and Mr. Sharp. Okay, I ain't gonna trash them. No, I mean, I'm sorry, y'all, but y'all making me mad. Damn it. I can't take it anymore. So you're saying Theo is
Well,
saying that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Here's the thing: is that we understand that there are new reps, and you can tell those who have really applied their product knowledge, know how things work, what the price is, and their sales pitch is very tight. We get that. The key here is that it's not about the rep that makes a rep better. It's the professional that makes the rep better. Okay, because let's.
Oh, you went there? I can't stand Cheryl. She always elevating. Sorry, go ahead.
And the physician makes the pharmaceutical rep better. Because if you know you're going to the doctor's office of an attending surgeon and you're coming in here trying to sell a new anesthesia, you know your A game better be on, because that physician and that anesthesiologist is going to be asking you questions because you're trying to sell them something. And so we have to get our product knowledge in terms of understanding why we make purchases versus other purchases. And they've got to know that they've got to be well in their product knowledge. They got to be able to make heads or tails. They have to know the difference between features and benefits. They have to give you that whole rounded out sales pitch, and they have to make it make sense. So we as the professionals and students and new cosmetologists have to make that industry go up a level and make sure that they are selling us quality products and they are answering our questions to the point where we're satisfied. They make common sense, and because you're investing your money into their products.
So
And so,
you're saying, so you and Theo are saying the same language. You're saying learn the purpose and features and the product usage, okay? And Theo is in the chat like absolutely. Now, in defense, because I know my students are in the chat like, now how we supposed to know that, okay? Or
well,
how are we supposed to know that? I mean,
that's
help
another, like
us.
you said, that's
Help,
another podcast.
Okay, so you know what? We're going to talk about that on the next podcast because of my experience. Now, obviously, I did not get the memo. Okay, so I'm going to be on the level. Now, here I am. I have owned a salon for 25 years, and this is the first time I've ever heard that our job as technicians is to learn the purpose and the features, right? And but when I go to a class, I just sit and I just let them break it down. You know what I'm saying? And then I try to make application. So you can help us better understand how to utilize the reps, because what I'm seeing right now, I'm just not impressed. So I'm not going to go into a whole diatribe because I'm getting a little bit.
Let's just go here. When we are into, and we do at the Afro Hair Science Summit, right? And I remember you or I make it a habit when I am presenting and I am making a point and I want my students to get it. I don't always give them the answer. I want them to think about it. Okay. And I sometimes have dead air in the classroom, and then I says, a question would be appropriate right now. If you don't know, ask a question. Okay. So most students don't understand sales pitches. When people come to sell you something, or you go to a hair show, you buy a ticket and you're spending your money and you're investing your hard-earned money, go to the booths, ask questions. Now, the podcast that we probably can have the next conversation, or at the Afro Hair Science Summit, we do as professionals need to learn how to ask questions.
I concur. Instead of being like me, I'm ready to just
right, ask questions about benefits versus asking questions about features. You guys are accustomed to doing it because you go to a car dealer and you do it. You go to a farmer's market and you do it. You go to a pharmacy. What does a pharmacist say when they're giving you a medicine? Do you need to be told, because the attending pharmacist always comes over and says, and they repeat how to use it, how to do this. We are that particular thing. And so we have to, and maybe we have just not been vigilant on that, or focused on it as much, because we have to get better at making them better at their job.
Yeah, I think that now, remember guys, this is our 20th episode, and we're talking about how barbershop and salon owners can help new licensees. This is part 2, and we are 8 ways in. And so, as you can see, I could go for some classes on this subject matter as well. Just goes to show you that just because you own a salon don't mean you know what you're doing. Okay. So I hope, and I'm learning on the job. This is on the job training right here on this podcast of how I can even do better myself, as a salon owner. So, and that probably explains my angst and the experiences that I'm having with these reps who I am like, anywho, let me move on. So here's my number 8. I feel that hair salon owners and barbershop owners can help the new licensees, better in the industry if we encourage them to actually come and work in a salon before they do their own business. And I know a lot of people are like, I do not want to work in a hair salon. It's too much drama. The salon owners don't want to pay. They're not nice. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But I really, really, really professionally and personally believe that going into a hair salon before you venture off into a loft, that we have to do more to help these cosmetologists and barbers who want to be what they call unbothered, unbossed, and all that good stuff. So can you add a little bit more to, because I know I know you guys are like, no, Kilolo, I am not coming to work for you.
Let me say this. Most people want, the thing that's attractive about the salon suites is that you can be your own boss, right? I will say this. How shall I say it? Getting rid of the boss is not like most bosses, and especially if they're good ones. And I can say, Ladosha, you're a good one, right? But if you're not ready, and if you've never bossed anybody, and if you've never been a leader of anybody, if you've never been responsible for a team, if you've never been in that position in a executive, or they call it the chief executive position, you won't probably boss yourself as well as you should. A boss or another person will, in my opinion, will see you more clearly than you see yourself, right? They will be discussing with you things that you probably will not initiate in your own conversation, in your own inner dialogue. And You make excuses for yourself that probably someone beside yourself would not make for you. And
Yeah, and I see that a lot because I talk to a lot of people who have their own loft, and I call that a classic case of isolation. Like you're
Mhm.
just too isolated, especially when you haven't built a clientele to sustain your personal lifestyle. Like when you have to work another job to pay the rent of the loft, you're in a danger zone because you're in a hobby zone. Um, you have a false sense of security and elevation. You know what I'm saying? And so, and this is a very touchy topic because remember, this is still their passion, and they may argue that it is not about the money, but you're still doing a disservice to the public because when a person enters your loft, they don't see it as a your personal space. They see it as a business that I'm
Right.
entering. And they really want you to bring your best. And when you're kind of isolated, you're only bringing, what's in your kitty. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the thing. What would be the difference in your mind? And if maybe other people listening, what would be the difference in your mind? The difference between um, being at a hospital and being in private practice as a doctor.
Well, in my mind, the private practice implies that you have so many people that you can, professionally customize that doctor's visit, in that space. Whereas in a hospital, you've got these 15-minute bursts of, visits and, I don't know that they meet quotas, so I'm not saying that, but it doesn't seem as personalized and customized. At least for me, I go to an actual clinic. I don't have a doctor who has a private practice, so I'm definitely in the clinic mode, and I don't particularly care for it, but that's the insurance that I can afford. So I haven't had the experience of a private practice doctor, but what I hear from people who have private practices are like more phone calls, more access during emergencies, crisis intervention, that type of stuff that I don't get from the clinic, which is always like hotlines and compartmentalized.
Mhm. And a hair salon is more of a clinic, a clinical kind of where you go to a place and they have several doctors, right? And um, and so and you notice more most private practice doctors are private practice in their 20th year. They don't start there. They don't start
Wow.
practice, right? And then they too also private practice physicians, which you guys are of beauty. They are also specialty. They don't do everything. They're not general primary physicians, right? And so when you go into a medical group, let's say Kaiser, or you got a particular MetLife or some other Aetna or something other than those particular clinics, those that have a dental upstairs and this person there and this person, you're in a community. And that is the salon. That is the salon is akin to that community, right? And you get the benefit of being around most people when they're in medical school and they do their residency. They don't ever do it in a private practice. They do it in a hospital because there's
Wow.
a way of kind of specialties in things, internal medicine or gynecology or whatever the case, dermatology. They're all there to give you that experience. And
That's
so,
pretty powerful. That's very, very powerful. And students, I hope you get the analogy because that was a good one. That was a good one.
yeah, yeah. And so it's just much more of you get the benefit of full servicing because you're in a community. And maybe we do need to be better on the salon culture and be more professional and
Yeah.
um,
I
not
think, I
bring.
think, yeah, I agree that as salon owners, there's always room for improvement. Hell, you just saw it happen right here in the live, which is why we got big ups to the Samaria who said we should do it this way. But just remember, guys, this is what Cheryl and we have to offer for you guys in case you're interested in leveling up your knowledge and your career. So check this out. Here's what we have coming this fall. Here it is.
Get your ass on that book.
I'm about to tell your daddy on you.
This is the Hair Oracle. This October in Cleveland, Ohio.
It's dedicated just for you.
The Afro Hair Science Summit 2024.
Either they don't know,
Or they don't want to know.
or they just don't care about Afro hair in the barber and beauty industry.
Pack your bags and get ready for the most cutting edge education in the industry.
Everybody swears they are smarter than a cosmetologist and a barber. I don't even know what that's all about.
But don't you be petty about your business.
Ow! Good fucking bomb.
All professional barbers, cosmetologists, natural hairstylists, hair enthusiasts coming together in one room.
Damn, that's fire. Don't be petty about your business.
To get more aware of themselves and where they came from and what they are into and what is already there, and just to bring it out. This is what compels me to compel them. And I will do it by whatever means necessary.
All right, so there you have it, the Afro Hair Science Summit. That is Cheryl's and I commitment to especially the students and licensed professionals, school owners, instructors, that there is science in our industry, and we need to elevate, as Cheryl would say, our intellectual laziness. Like, stop just being so, we got to get there, guys. And so this is just one of many ways that you guys can do this. So be on the lookout for more information about the Afro Hair Science Summit. But before we get into Cheryl's ninth point, Cheryl is going to show you guys what you need to do right now to help us get a little bit more views right here on these social media streets, you know what I'm saying, out here. So Cheryl, show what they need to do to help change the narrative. What we can do to help these new barbers and cosmetologists out. Watch this, guys. Here we go.
Boom.
All right, so I'm back. Now, let me just say this before you get into your ninth one, because we're winding down the podcast. You guys are being absolutely thebomb.com. When we talk about what more we can do, I have a gentleman. You guys can't see him, but he is
Come in the camera. Tell him to come in the
Come
camera.
over here. Can you come over here, Mr. Sharp?
Come on, Mr. Sharp.
Come on, Mr. Sharp. Come on, put your phone down right quick. Yeah. He's got his phone back here watching us. Here is the epitome of what we could be doing more of. Can we give this gentleman, there he is, the one and only. Sure, give him a round of applause. Here we go right here. That's right. We have Mr. Sharp is in the house. This is the epitome of an example of what more we can do. So Mr. Sharp is here to educate and train me. He came all the way up from Detroit, Michigan. I'm here. I'm honored. He has taught me so much. Like, here I have a cosmetology license, and I didn't know anything about bricklaying a perm. Now, I know you can roll it, but so Mr. Sharp, do you have any? I'm going to unplug my mic right quick, okay? Can you still hear us, Cheryl?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. Sharp, do you have any advice to salon owners and barbershop owners of how we can help the new generation of professionals? What more can we do?
Give them more education and more personal education, almost like one-on-one, 3 or 4 at a time, so that you get thoroughness. They understand exactly to and fro. That's it. Once you know what you're doing, then you can always make as much money as you want to make.
But isn't those 2 to 3 people boring? I want to see a whole lot of people in my class.
Well, that's a lot to handle. That's the way that it used to be. Handle that many, but if you take your time, teach 3 or 4, almost like hands-on. When they leave, it's sterile. And then the next week, or however it is you keep yourself going, you're going with your rotation, you do 2 or 3 more. Once they get the education, they locked in with you. That's just with the products also. Once they find out exactly what those products can do, you can't teach a bunch of them. You can teach a few of them. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Okay. That's how it's going down. You see what I'm saying? We're showing you guys live and direct that this is. I'm still learning. 25 years, and I still don't know everything. And what I'm doing. I know a lot of people like you don't know how to bricklayer a perm.
Oh man, don't let them tell you that. Because at the end of the day, they ain't learned it. Tell them to shut up. They ain't learned it. They ain't learned it. No.
Okay, so it's okay that you don't know. Whoops, hold on, let me put one up.
Okay, come on, podcast.
Yeah, all right. So what's your number 9, number 10, and then we're gonna wrap this baby up.
Number 9,
and I got number 10
is create a journal of growth. Your path, step 1, step 2, year 1, year 2, year 3.
Wow, a journal of growth. now, when you say, write this out, just give them a couple examples, and I'll go to.
Absolutely, my journal growth when I wanted to out of and actually become, because every salon and back in the day was created in a certain way. So I wanted to earn the center station, which means that was right in the center of everybody, because that's how my dad's salon was set up, right? And so the center station was right behind the receptionist desk, right? And I wanted to be in the center, and all of the people who sat in the lobby was around this particular, right in front. And so it was direct view. And anyway, my dad told me that I couldn't start there. Your ass got to start in the back. Okay. And I remember.
I didn't know that was a thing. I mean,
that's a thing.
I did not know that was a thing of what chair you sat in. I'm like,
well, right. In the barbershop, the king, the owner, and the baddest cutter, okay, had it was the last chair in the back. Okay. The first chair is that your ass, you was thirsty. Okay. You was new. And then the second new one, and the third, and then, the master barber was more towards the end or the back of the barbershop. So
if you know anything about that, drop that in the chat. Never, I think Spritz talked about that, but anywho, carry on.
Oh yeah, the chair placement, right? And so the attending, and see you don't realize that you picked the perfect chair, because the attending stylists and they're more towards the back, and your station is in the back.
Yeah, there I am back there. What's up, boss? That's my station. I'm in the back.
Right. And
yeah.
See,
okay.
You didn't even realize it, right? But my point is that.
Let me cut you off, because the newer people, they did pick the first chairs. And Spritz, let me put his. He's back there too.
Right,
wow,
right.
But that was automatic. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's a psychological thing that you ain't thirsty. Your clientele already know, and you don't want to impede your new stylists. You don't want to impede them, and it's a part of their psychological that they're first, and that the people come in, and you get foot traffic, so you want them to see them first, right?
Okay,
I like that. So it's a sales thing. Anyway, so my station was one of my desires. So when you have a journal, you say, "Oh, I want to move up to the center station. I want to train with this particular person. I want to start learning more about product manufacturing. I wanted to also travel to Paris, and go to a couple of fashion weeks, and I wanted to go to New York, and so I did basically everything I wanted to do. But if you don't see it and write it down, okay, you really can't. It's just in your head. And so, and it's almost like you encouraged us at the first part of this year, Ladosha, to get out what you call a vision board, right? And you really start seeing, get these things out of your head so they can be actually become entities, and you birth them and you write them down and you talk to yourself daily. And sometimes you may have some also journaling is good for problem solving, because you may have this client this week, we didn't really gel, and maybe I wasn't feeling well, or they weren't feeling well, and maybe I need to do and remind myself to have this conversation with her or him, and I want to try a new haircut. But it makes you really present in
Wow.
your career. Yeah.
Wow, that's good. That's good. So so again, if you have just tuned in, again, this is our 20th episode of how barbershop and salon owners can help new licensees. This is part two. We started off with self-mastery. Cheryl says, don't compete with anybody. Dominate your skill set, your space, and that's what you're gonna, most definitely grow from. We talked about speaking, transferring your skill set, retail sales, styling tools, growing them beyond the chair, fostering relationships with reps. And then we also talked about moving from over the counter to professionals, and there's salon loss to salon. Be careful about going directly into a salon loft. We should help you guys. We could do better. And then Cheryl just gave her last point. Okay, and so now we're going to conclude this out. I would say one of the things that we can definitely do more as we wrap this up is that we have to encourage you guys to come to work even when it's slow.
Mm.
I know people are like, well, I don't have any customers, so I ain't coming in. My customers, they cancel, so I'm going home. Well, I only have two people, so I'm going to block myself out. We have to encourage them to not do that. And that was a fly. And use that time for training and one-on-one, since Mr. Sharp just affectionately shared with us that you don't have to have a room full of people to teach a class. 4 people, he said, gives you that quality education for the technician who needs the help. So if anything, I would say we have to encourage them to come in when it's slow, and don't go home because someone canceled or you only have 2 or 3 people on your books. The phone is always ringing. I have to turn the phone off when we're doing the podcast. Why? Because it's ringing off the hook with people who want to come in. I have to turn the notifications off because people are coming through Google and they're asking us for appointments, to do appearances, to do all types of cool stuff. So I would say, if you own a barbershop and a hair salon and you want to know how can you help them out, encourage them, come in and don't go home just because it's slow. And Cheryl, did you want to add on to that before we wrap it up?
In addition to that, your whole day devoted to, or your set of hours that you're devoting to being in a beauty environment. So if you do leave, everything in your career is not about money.
Can I interrupt you right quick? On Instagram, we have DaCosta Beauty is in the house. Big
Cost.
shout out to DaCosta Beauty. So nice that you're taking a moment to scroll past and check out 2 passionate industry professionals who want to do more than just hair. So super duper shout out to DaCosta, Diane DaCosta. They're just scrolling past to check us out. So Cheryl, continue on with why we should be encouraging them to come in when it's slow and don't go home because you only have 2 people, or my last person just canceled.
Right. I like field trips, to be honest with you. Field trips keeps me encouraged.
What do you mean by field trips? Do tell.
I love field trips. I absolutely love, and this is a lot easier. And of course, in New York. But I love furniture design. I love beauty, going to Sephora. I love going to Ulta. I love going to the mall. I like to see what cosmetics are doing and what they're doing new. I walk into Kiehl's. I walk into Williams Sonoma because kitchen and bathroom and all those things give you so much ideas on how to make your salon.
So you're saying if you do decide to leave the salon, don't just go home.
Well, don't leave your career. You just left a building.
Yeah. So you're
right.
saying that you could take that time to go someplace else and be inspired about what you can do behind the chair versus going home to watch, you know, the, the Game of Thrones and, you know,
well, because your
Stranger
day,
Things and-
you know, your particular a day is not dead because you're not generating revenue, and because you can commit and invest in yourself. Go to Barnes and Noble.
Can you repeat that so I can get an audience clap? You said your day is not dead
because you're not making revenue, right? Right. Total investment in your development in your career. You are your first investment. So just because you are not generating a revenue that day, and let me just say this, now that we put the revenue, once you can turn your chair into a beauty supply. They don't necessarily have to come in for a hairdo. They can come in for consultations, and they can come in for buying tchotchkes, right? And when I was a junior, not junior as in, when I was a freshman, first year in the salon, my dad's salon was next to his beauty supply, so I would just go in there and work.
Wow. This has been absolutely phenomenal that we have some wonderful people who have been able to bring, some insight, me, Cheryl, and Mr. Sharp, to help us understand what we as a people, salon owners and barbershop owners, we're people too, and we love you guys. We care about you guys. We're not just people who want to have someone come and work for and under, us. That is not why we open up these businesses. We see the bigger picture, and we know that we could do more. We also know that you guys have more to bring to the table than us because we're the rewind and you're the new what's happened. I stole that from Yo-Yo. Brand new, intelligent Black ladies. You know what I'm saying? But anyhow, to hone in on our point, which is going to let you guys know, in case you're not aware, Thursdays is all that particular podcast is Planet Pluto Pseudo. It's all about the legends of cosmetology. We're going to start off with Mr. Ronaldo Jerome. We're going to come through with Mr. Ivan Williams. And then we have also Chris Blue. And we have Tamara Bow. She is out of Atlanta by way of New York City. And so what I'm going to do right quick, Cheryl, is just kind of share with them what topics they're going to be covering, just in case you're wondering, what are they going to be talking about. So Mr. Ronaldo Jerome, he's going to be with us this Thursday, and he's going to talk about what's tanking the Black beauty industry. Ivan is going to come on the following Thursday, talking about how to grow your barber or salon, your makeup, your nail business. Thursday, the one and only, the legendary Chris Blue, and yes, he is that fine in person. Him and Ivan, that is how they look. No lie. Ask their significant. Ask Chris Blue's wife. She'll tell you. Yes, he is actually that fine. And Mr. Blue is going to talk with us about the mass exodus from hair salons to salon lofts. Now, this guy is legendary in so many ways. So we'll hear from him, and then we're going to have our young sister. Again, from Atlanta. She owns Pampering Under One Roof. That's out of Atlanta, Georgia. And she is going to talk about passing the torch to younger generations of cosmetologists. But she looks young on that picture, but this young lady has a lot of years of experience. I think if you work in the salon industry, you are going to love this series of legends of cosmetology, and they're going to help us get this show on the road and do better jobs as salon owners and barbershop owners, because there's so much more that we can do. And again, Mr. Sharp did a wonderful job at encouraging us to do smaller, more intimate assistance by way of workshops and classes to help these people out. Meaning our fellow cosmetologists and barbers, nail techs, and estheticians. So Cheryl, wrap us up with a closing thought, and I think we're right on the money. 1:30. We did a good job today.
Wow. So we hit a lot of things. Staying in your career, even when you're not at the salon, fostering wonderful relationships with manufacturers. What else, Kilolo?
We had speaking, we had self-mastery, we had beyond the chair, moving from over-the-counter to professionals, and come in when it's slow. So that's how we cover it. Yeah.
Right. And so I just want to encourage you guys that you guys are going to be involved in such a wonderful, lucrative, positive, profitable industry, and to hang on to a wonderful, great mentor if you can.
And best believe, I'm here to tell you, you know how they say, people be like, I got your back. Well, I'm here to tell you, Cheryl and I, we got your back. Look at that right there. Remember, you can also email us. Remember, if you need some help, and like, I don't know about, going to these things. I just need somebody one-on-one. Mr. Sharp said we should be doing that in the first place. That's what he said. So email us at afrohairscience@gmail.com. But in the meantime, be on the lookout for the Afro Hair Science Summit 2024. It's all about mastering texture 2.0, the Ladosha tones, and the C-suite. And I think we got you guys covered. We appreciate you guys so much. And you know what we say when we're signing off, right? We always say good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. And we're going to be back next Monday. We're going to go more into detail about coming in when it's slow. Like, I don't want to come in. I'm going home. We're going to talk about that just a little bit more. Love, peace, and hair grease. We love you guys. Have a wonderful day. So, you think you can do hair? Then join us every Monday at 12 o'clock on the Afro Hair Science YouTube channel.